Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. We're going to talk about anime on streaming services. We're going to talk about kind of an upset here. Studio Ghibli is coming to HBO Max in 2020. This is not the place a lot of people thought that the Ghibli films would appear, and it's definitely sort of shows just how much that WarnerMedia is pushing into anime while at the same time cutting budgets elsewhere. So this is a very interesting development, but WarnerMedia definitely has to build up its library, its content, when it launches next year, because HBO Max is going to be pretty expensive. Everything we've heard is HBO Max is going to be like $15 to $20 when it launches. And, we've been speculating for a while that WarnerMedia will eventually just roll Crunchyroll into the HBO Max service. It probably depends on how it does. Again, it's going to be more expensive than the other options out there, but this is a really bold move. It's interesting that it's coming to HBO Max and not Disney Plus. Now, of course, Ghibli ended their deal with Disney a couple of years ago, and the library has been made available through GKids. We'll talk a little bit about that because it's kind of weird how all that went down too. So before we get into it, please subscribe to Clownfish TV for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We do talk about animation, anime, Disney. We talk about movies. We give our hot takes on things. We are kind of quasi a news source, but not quite, because we do have opinionated content. So I'm going to talk about this. Studio Ghibli coming to HBO Max in 2020. Now, the interesting thing about this is that a few days prior to this big announcement, some folks from GKids said that this was never going to happen. GKids, of course, is the studio that currently handles Ghibli's Blu-rays here in the US and US distribution. And they're like, no, this is not going to happen. It's not going to happen, everybody. And then like a day after that, embarrassingly, they make the announcement that it's coming to streaming via HBO Max. Yeah, according to GKids, a couple days before, again, this is really embarrassing. According to GKids, which currently owns North American distribution rights to Miyazaki and the Ghibli films, there are no plans to place the collection on Netflix, Disney Plus, Hulu, or the like. Fans won't even find titles like Totoro and Spirited Away available to rent on digital platforms like Apple Movies or Amazon. For now, the physical media releases and touring Ghibli Fest screenings remain the only ways for fans to see the film. Studio Ghibli does not make their films available digitally, whether for download or streaming, anywhere in the world, a GKids representative told Polygon a day before it was announced that they were coming to WarnerMedia via HBO Max. A GKids representative told Polygon over email earlier in the year they continue to believe that presentation is vital and particularly appreciate opportunities for audiences to experience the films together in a theatrical setting, which I think is cool. They're actually going to have Spirited Away in Pittsburgh. I think it's Pittsburgh, the end of the month, and I was looking into that, but it's like, man, we've seen the movie so many times, but it would be cool to see it in the big screen. We never had a chance to see it on the big screen. Anyway, I digress. Kind of embarrassing for GKids. It is coming to HBO Max, so let's talk about that. All 21 of Studio Ghibli's feature-length films are coming to HBO Max in 2020. With the recent reveal this new streaming service would be called HBO Max, WarnerMedia has made a strong commitment to increasing the competition in streaming entertainment. Not coming to Crunchyroll, though. It's not coming to Crunchyroll, so you're going to have to pay through the nose to see the Ghibli movies. HBO has certainly been a name synonymous with quality over the years, and the plan to amalgamate all of its hit programming as well as other licensed TV shows and films. Friends is coming to this, has been a big draw for many, while HBO Max has yet to launch. It already has the site set on a 2020 release, and exactly what will be available to new customers continues to evolve as time passes. So far, the amount of original programming promised looks intriguing, and HBO Max is quietly becoming one of the first to offer licensed content that hasn't previously been offered by any of the other subscription streaming competitors. So yeah, this is one of the holdouts. Ghibli's been one of the holdouts, and they're getting it. And I don't know if they're going to have that launch or what. But they said one such example is the newly announced edition of the entire Ghibli film library. HBO Max has teamed up with GKids in order to bring the full Ghibli film catalog to subscribers. So that quote was actually from a few months prior to this announcement. So they're throwing some money at them. Though the release of the films will be staggered, Spirited Away, My Neighbor Totoro, Princess Mononoke, Howl's Moving Castle, Kiki's Delivery Service, Ponyo, Castle in the Sky, Princess Kaguya will all be available on the service at its launch. So yeah, they're not releasing everything at launch, and this is something you're going to see more and more of, I think, with the streaming services to keep people subscribed. Whether it's series or movie releases or whatever, they're going to stagger. That. They're not going to drop everything, because you could technically subscribe for a month and then cancel, watch all the movies you want to watch all the episodes of the show you want to watch, and then, that's it. So this is pretty interesting. So here, speaking on the deal between Ghibli and WarnerMedia, Studio Ghibli chairman Koji Hoshino said, "We are excited to be working with HBO Max to bring the complete collection of Ghibli films to streaming audiences in the US. As a premium content brand, HBO Max is the ideal home for our films. Upon launch of the service this spring, existing Ghibli fans will be able to enjoy their favorites and delve deeper into the library, while whole new audiences will be able to discover our films for the first time." So this is going to be really interesting. So this just, again, shows how important anime is going to be in the streaming wars. That WarnerMedia, who is cutting corners, cutting budgets, felt it was worth it to them to throw money at Ghibli to get the Ghibli library on the service at launch. Because anime is a huge draw. And we've talked about that. We've talked about, Netflix throwing money at anime. We're looking at, the only streaming service that doesn't seem to care about anime at all is Disney Plus. I don't think there's going to be any anime on Disney Plus. It's going to be Pixar, Disney, et cetera, et cetera. But all the other streaming services to compete with Disney are going after anime. Now, it is curious that, of course, Disney is not snapping up Ghibli for themselves for Disney Plus, but they've got so much of their own content, and the deal kind of went south a couple of years ago. Now, as I understand it, I do not own any of the G-Kids releases. We do have most of the Disney releases of the Ghibli films, in addition to a couple of imported releases. Don't have any of the G-Kids releases, but I do believe that they actually use the Disney dub on G-Kids. So apparently Studio Ghibli owns the rights to the dub, because they've got the same voice actors that they had on the Disney version. So Disney, cut ties with Ghibli a couple years ago, which they probably tried to buy them out, and they probably told them no. I don't know what happened, but this was a couple of years ago, 2017, 20 years after Disney struck a landmark deal with Japanese anime titan Studio Ghibli. The American media conglomerate has quietly backed away from the film's American distribution. That's true. New York-based distributor G-Kids has sole stewardship of Ghibli's catalog, with the exception of 2013's The Wind Rises and Grave of the Fireflies. We have nothing but love for Disney ourselves and the work they did to present these films to audiences for the first time. Yeah, Disney was, as much as we dunk on Disney lately, they did a lot of things right. And I think the Ghibli deal was something that they did right. And as I understand it, that was John Lasseter, who, was exited the company under dubious circumstances. But, Lasseter's doing was to bring the Miyazaki films to wider audiences here in the U.S. And it did a great deal to sort of mainstream anime, more so than it had been done already, with anime series. But we basically got, the best. Ghibli is top shelf. Top shelf. It's the most expensive bottle on that top shelf, in my opinion, and they basically are the Disney of Japan. And the fact that Disney brought those films over here and they didn't butcher them, really. You can say what you will about some of the dubs, but for the most part, I thought they were pretty decent. And they did bring them to a wider audience. We saw many of the Disney releases in the theater. We saw Ponyo. We saw Arrietty. They really did help mainstream anime, and the Ghibli films have a huge following here in the States, primarily because of Disney. I know Totoro was released prior to, Porco Rosso was released prior to, but it was definitely Disney with Spirited Away, winning Academy Awards, Howl's Moving Castle, those films that really cemented Ghibli over here in the US that build an audience for Ghibli over in the US. So it was kind of weird that they just kind of like cut it loose. You know, Disney didn't comment on, I don't even know exactly what happened. They just like let the deal lapse or something. But yeah, G-Kids, they have re-released these movies with the Disney dubs. You know, so again, we don't own any of the G-Kids releases because we have all the Disney releases. We have some import discs as well. But you know, they just kind of left it go. I think Disney was getting too big. I think they wanted to own everything. They could not own Ghibli, or would not own Ghibli, and I think that they were just like, yeah, we'll just let the deal lapse. Whatever the reason, though, it's not coming to Disney Plus now. So Warner is getting the Ghibli movies, possibly, probably, maybe with the Disney dubs too, which is kind of weird. You know, so we'll see what happens. But again, this just talks about the importance of anime to the streaming wars. You know, little anime news here, I guess. Speaking of which, Netflix, which is banking heavily on anime, and they're doing this ill-advised, I think, live-action Cowboy Bebop series, but the star is injured. John Cho has been injured, and they're gonna table that for 7 to 9 months. That might be a reprieve for fans. I just don't know how Cowboy Bebop is gonna work in live action. I am not looking forward to this at all. It is a favorite of mine, and I don't think they can do it justice in live action. But you know, we're gonna watch this. I do think that I'm still telling you, I think that Crunchyroll is gonna get absorbed into HBO Max at some point. They already have content coming out for it. You know, I think this is where you're gonna find High Guardian Spice. You know, they're gonna have original shows on WarnerMedia. We do know there's a pilot out there for that. They Crunchyroll bankrolled it, but to Warner, you know, I just see them streamlining things. Very interesting development. We're gonna keep an eye on it. And I'm actually kind of looking forward to HBO Max now. I gotta tell you, I don't know. We'll have to check it out. So please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants here on Clownfish TV. This has been Neon. We will talk later. Thinking about printing your own comic books, graphic novel, or manga? We recommend our friends over at Print Ninja. We've been using Print Ninja as long as they've been printing comics, and both the quality and price is excellent. Mention Clownfish TV and get an additional 5% overrun of your book order quantity printed for free. For free! That's free books, people. Just mention this offer on the phone or in the additional information box on the quote request form. That's printninja.com, or click on the link in the description below. Hey guys, thanks for watching Clownfish TV. Please consider supporting the channel. Go to clownfishsupport.com. That's clownfishsupport.com. And if you want to join our community, go to clownfishtalk.com. That's clownfishtalk.com. Please subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. We will talk to you next time.